Hey, this is Tom Nash. Welcome to another video. As always, I just ask that you don't click nothing, don't smash nothing, and don't buy nothing. Now, today is a serious video. We have to talk about what's going on in Ukraine. There's some new updates you absolutely want to hear. Also, there's massive things going on in the stock market. We have to talk about it, what happened yesterday and what's coming today. Also, some new updates about sanctions coming out of the West towards Russia, and my conclusions about what just happened and what I think is coming next for the stock market, the US economy, the Russian economy, the EU. In general, everything is going on right now in the stock market, and as far as geopolitics as well. There's a lot to cover in this video. Let's jump straight into it. Have to understand that this Russian-Ukrainian war has been basically going on since 2014. Now, I'll be honest about it. I didn't think it's going to go that far, but it did. I underestimated Putin's ability to put his ego in front of the needs of his people and, the lives of millions of people on the continent. Now, he's literally sacrificing the people of Ukraine and his own people just to fulfill this sort of fantasy of this grandeur complex that he has to become the czar of this new republic. Now, Putin has been the czar for many, many years. He's been in control in Russia for the past 20 years. The problem is that he was the czar without a kingdom. He only had one country. That's not enough to be a czar. And that's why he took over Belarus. I mean, not officially, but come on. And now he's taking over Ukraine, which is at this point inevitable. Now, here's the thing. You have to understand this grandeur complex. Putin isn't exactly the classic politician. When you think about the US politician, it's very different than what Putin is. Putin came from nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean absolutely nothing. Total hunger. His family was under siege by the Nazi forces in 1942. His older brother passed away from hunger at the age of 2. His mom was passed out. They threw her in the grave, mass grave, just to find out she's actually still breathing. They pulled her out. He came from nothing, no money. He worked his way into getting into the KGB, actually became an officer, got sent to Germany, and then this whole entire thing collapsed around him like a house of cards. He actually went back to being an illegal taxi driver just to make ends meet. So he went from this massive promotion, KGB officer, climbing from the gutter into respectful position, into a taxi driver at night. Now, obviously he misses what he had, and he has this kind of youthful, wishful thinking about the communism and the USSR, and that whole thing is still with him because it went through his formative years. You can't actually erase it. You know what they say? You can take the kid out of USSR, but you can't take the USSR out of kid. Just as simple as that. So let's talk quickly about what's going on right now in the field. We have reports out of Ukraine that Ukrainian forces are fighting against Russian forces on the outskirts of Kiev, the capital. That is insane. Also, confirmed reports that Russia has taken over Chernobyl, the famous power plant, just outside of Kiev, and the exclusion zone after the famous accident. And we do have confirmed reports of protests going on in Russia. However, those are quickly and violently disrupted. People are getting arrested, getting beaten up. It's literally a police state. Now, for now, Putin is probably not too concerned about these, but every totalitarian dictatorship has this fear inside that these can develop into massive riots. So he has to be careful with this if he wants to continue doing this illegal activities in Ukraine. I hope and I pray that the Russian people actually stand up and fight against this, but we don't know. Now, the thing is, you have to understand that yesterday was probably one of the worst days in the history of the Russian stock market. It lost 200 billion of its value in a single day. However, I don't think it matters to Putin one bit because he's on a warpath, this religious Captain Save-A-Ho complex of, this religious savior of Russia, and he's going to drag everybody, the Russian people, the Ukrainian people, the European community, into the abyss of hell with him to fulfill this crazy religious prophecy. He's a 70-year-old man obsessed with his legacy, and everybody will suffer as a result. So the Russian stock market crashing, I don't think the dude even cares. Now, as far as the US markets, if you would have told me just a few days ago that on the eve of the biggest invasion in Europe since World War II, the NASDAQ is going to go up 3%, Palantir is going to go up 13%, and the S&P 500 is going to go by 1.5%, I would have told you that you're smoking crack, my guy. And yet, this is exactly what happened. This invasion is the biggest wild card in the history of the US stock market. There's been very few days like this in history. Go back and check. Probably 2, 3, 4 days like this that we've ever seen. And this is pretty much incredible. Now, the reason we saw this crazy bounce back, it has a few reasons. Palantir is probably tied more to the cybersecurity side of it. We saw massive spikes with CrowdStrike, Fortinet, Palo Alto Networks. So every company that deals with risk, cybersecurity, and uncertainty, which is exactly where Palantir is at, they enjoyed a massive spike, but the entire tech industry took a crazy run up. The thing is that the markets love certainty. And the minute we had some certainty about what the hell is going on in Russia and Ukraine, market have spiked. Not to mention the fact that there's a lot of expectation that this would prevent the Fed from raising interest rates, essentially creating that prep for a bull run we just saw yesterday. Now, here's the thing. I want to focus specifically on Palantir. Now, whether Palantir goes tomorrow to $9 or $29, I could not care less. The thing that proved to me yesterday that Alex Karp was right all along, if you care about Palantir, is that he was talking about a change of world order. You have to understand that the Russian invasion of Ukraine has a lot more implications than just Ukrainian-Russian relationships. It has implications on NATO, on the US, on Europe, mainly on former Soviet Russian republics like Kazakhstan, Moldova, Uzbekistan. Putin just created a new battlefield, a new Cold War between the West and good guys and Russia, China, and their lackeys as the bad guys. Exactly like Alex Karp and Peter Thiel predicted for the last 17 years. It actually happened. I couldn't give less craps or Fs or fucks, whatever you want me to say, about the price action of Palantir yesterday. People thought I was excited about the 13% run-up. I couldn't care less if it goes tomorrow to $8 or $6 or $26 or $46. What I do care about is that Alex Karp's prediction that the world is going to be much more chaotic in this decade and probably the decade after actually came true yesterday with this invasion. And as unfortunate as it is, and how much I hate what's going on right now in Russia and Ukraine, this is not a moment that I'm celebrating. I'm just telling you, Alex Karp was right. And that's why Palantir is going to play a key role in this. Gotham and Foundry is going to be a key role in managing this chaos and uncertainty. And if you can't see it, just don't invest. I'm just sharing with you my opinion. And we do have to talk about what's going on as far as sanctions. While Putin is going full force into Ukraine, blasting his way through this peaceful, non-provoking sovereign country, the West is just standing by and looking at Ukraine burn and doing nothing. And that's kind of awful. I can't believe this is happening in 2022. I can't believe it, that we don't learn nothing from history, from 1939, from 1956, from 1965. We haven't learned a damn thing. You don't appease these dictators. It always leads to a bigger conflict down the road. You have to give them back what they deserve. You can't keep appeasing a bully. It's a bad idea. If you ever went to a Russian public school, you would know that. That's crazy. Now, sanctions as far as the US side, I don't even understand. 4 banks are blocked, whatever. UK is willing to take Russia off of SWIFT, which actually is good sanction, basically take them off of the world's payment service. However, the US is saying, according to Biden's speech, that's not on the table, not for the next 30 days. Godly, what the hell is going on? Unfortunately, what we have here is a full force violation of international law by Putin, a complete stutter by the Western world, which sends a very powerful message to former Russian allies, which are not in NATO, and to Ukraine itself. I don't know if Ukraine elects a puppet government tomorrow, but the minute he's going to destabilize this country, he knows that eventually down the road, he's going to get to Belarus, Ukraine, into his old, warm Russian bear hug. Now, here's the thing. I'm a simple man. I see undervalued stocks of great companies, I buy. I see Palantir cheap. I see Tesla cheap. I buy. As simple as that. I don't care about the price action. Couldn't care less. The problem here isn't the stock market. While we talk about the stock market and it's all fine and dandy, we have people actually suffering in Ukraine. We have children hiding in the subway instead of going to school and playing on the playgrounds. They're hiding in the subway, hoping not to get shelled. And we're talking here about the stock market. So I can't make jokes about it and I can't talk about it without having goosebumps all over my hands. This is really infuriating. And the worst part is, this ain't over yet. This is just the beginning. China is looking at this basically saying, well, we got Taiwan over here, and that's pretty much damn near the same situation as Ukraine. And we just saw Putin take Ukraine and the West did diddly squat. I guess what we should do with Taiwan. I'm sure that they feel more emboldened right now. And I don't know if the US is actually going to protect Taiwan the way they protected Ukraine. Because mind you, Ukraine got the promise from the US when they gave up their nukes back to Russia. US promised to defend Ukraine. So if you think that the US is going to defend Taiwan, the West is going to defend Taiwan, I don't know. Ukraine had the same promise, but I guess Ukraine didn't have enough semiconductor chips for the US to fight for its freedom. It's annoying as hell. Now, again, you might agree with me, you might disagree with me, I don't know. It's just my opinions. I'm a guy on the internet talking his mind. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know what's going to happen with the price action. I don't know what's going to happen in Russia and Ukraine. And I definitely don't want to know what's going to happen in Taiwan and China. I'm just sharing with you the way I see the world. I see a bully behaving like a bully, and I see the big kid on the block looking at the bully beating up the little kid and doing nothing. That's never leading to a good place. Believe me, I've been there. I've been to a Russian public school for many, many years. That's always going to end badly for everyone. I hope I'm wrong, but let's see what happens. See you tomorrow.